Hi there and welcome to another devotional video from Open Door Church Summary. I've been week by week working through the book of Genesis, and this week up to the middle of Genesis chapter 19. And the topic is very much one of justice, and how important is that for us today as ever. The situation is that God is about to leave the company of Abraham, and he's to go down and investigate the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And in verse 17, the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised for him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they've done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." And so God has come to this position in his relationship with Abraham. Abraham has such a relationship with God that God reveals to him what he's about to do. Amos 3 verse 7 says, "Surely the Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets." God is perfectly well able to communicate with those who are listening. And God is looking to Abraham to do what is right and just. And then in contrast, we have Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, in more recent years, decades, centuries, those cities have become known for sexual promiscuity, debauchery. In ancient times, they seem to have had a different reputation. In Ezekiel chapter 6, 49 to 50, we read this: "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me." So God's issue with these two cities is not primarily a question of their sexual behavior. It's a question of injustice. There is human neglect. There is human exploitation. Yes, of a sexual nature, as we'll see, but material exploitation. These places have become a dog-eat-dog jungle where the wealthy and the powerful prosper at the expense of the poor and the weak. And so God says, "I will go and see." He says there is an outcry against them, just like he said to Cain, the murderer of his brother, that the blood of Abel, his brother, cried out from the soil against him. Justice is its own voice, isn't it? The execution of it legally can be complicated, but basically, fundamentally, we all, those of us who are reasonably well adjusted, recognize injustice when we see it. Even a young child recognizes when they're the victim of injustice, when they've been treated differently from another child, or been accused of something they didn't do. There's an audible sense of grievance. It's not fair. We recognize unfairness and injustice when we see it. And God, though, sets the same standard for himself that he has set for Abraham, to act with righteousness and justice. He is not going to act impetuously or arbitrarily. He sets himself to follow a judicial process. I will go and see. But as God moves to leave Abraham, neither of them has mentioned the elephant in the room. Abraham's nephew Lot and his family are living in the city of Sodom at that time. But rather than mention it directly, Abraham raises it indirectly, and he raises a point of justice that was cited by Voltaire and is one of the cornerstones of most modern judicial systems today. It is better to risk saving a guilty person than to condemn an innocent one. And so Abraham says, what if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. And then Abraham begins to whittle the numbers down. 45. What if there's 45? What if there's 40, 30? And he finally gets it down to 10. And God answers, for the sake of 10 righteous people, I will not destroy it. And then for some reason, Abraham stops at 10. He doesn't stoop to nepotism and seek special treatment for the 4 members of his own family who are there. Or maybe he's just afraid that they won't actually be found innocent, that they've been tainted and carried along with the injustice and the evil that is in Sodom. For whatever reason, the fate of Lot and his family is left open. And I'm guessing Abraham probably didn't sleep too well that night. Often in life we encounter things, don't we, that are outside our control. We or those we love get caught up in situations that we didn't cause, but we can't escape. And it's good and right in those situations to do what we can to help ourselves, to help others who are caught up in injustice. It's also good and right to pray and present our case to God. Hebrews 4:16 says, let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in our time of need. If we have a relationship with God through Jesus, we can be confident in approaching him and seeking justice. But there's no peace to be found in fretting about it. There's no peace to be found in trying to twist God's arm beyond the bounds of legitimacy, or manipulating him to trying to get him to act before he's ready. There is no future and progress. That doesn't work. He is the judge of all the earth. And the only thing we can do in the end, when all else is lost, is to put our confidence in the justice of God and say with Abraham, will not the judge of all the earth do right? And to wait with patience for his justice. And sometimes that is all we can do. And it does mean living with questions, living with uncertainty, even living with a sense of grievous, this is not right. Why is this still? But we can use that to press in prayer and to pursue and seek God for righteousness and justice, remembering that his timescale is not our timescale and that we don't see the bigger picture. And so in those situations, I can't think of a better prayer to pray to end with than the prayer of Francis of Assisi. May God give us the strength to change the things we cannot change, the serenity to accept the things we can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So may God bless you and have a great week.